Juvenal is not as calm as he looks. The last time he crossed the old bridge, it was close to collapsing. These mechanics are in for a nasty surprise.
Non, c'est le bras qui vient de se casser. Vous avez ici.
There is a solution, but it comes at a price. Some villagers have dug out an alternative route, but after 5 days on the road, Juvenal is not in the mood to negotiate. Annoyed, the truck drivers take the detour by force. 30,000 Congolese francs, around £16 for right-of-way, is far too expensive and would result in even less money shared between the team. However, if the truck gets stuck, no villager will come to help them, unless they cough up the cash. Juvenal largely relies on his 8-wheel drive truck, but for once, strength doesn't lie in numbers. The villagers are miffed, while the mechanics applaud their drivers' skills.
Ndio maana tunaelekea mbele, barabara letu inakufa, kilalo hatuna, make siyue barabara iko hai.
In Congo, there is a proverb that says, "He who does not travel does not know the value of men." And in South Kivu, practically all travellers are heroes. It takes courage to traverse the roads of this region that has been abandoned by the government. To get by, you need to know how to build bridges in a matter of hours. Towns are almost completely cut off from the outside world. Bringing them supplies is an endless journey. Even old army trucks can't reach them. Each mile is like a never-ending saga.
Le Congo, ce n'est pas un pays à vivre. C'est mieux de quitter ce pays. Ça, c'est un pays à souffrir. Même les enfants souffrent.
In Congo, System D, in other words, being resourceful, is king. While on the face of it, poverty is widespread, the subsoil of South Kivu is bursting with precious minerals for the industry, like coltan and cobalt. An ecological crisis. The Ulindi River is being contaminated for a few grams of gold, although this does not stay in the miners' pockets for long.
Ils ont été pillés par les milices là, par 2 reprises.
By motorbike, by bicycle, in front of the wheel or flying a plane, the 6 million Congolese in the Kivu region fight a daily battle, refusing to ever give in. Juvenal's old German military truck is having a hard time. It's struggling to transport 2,000 litres of petrol. Juvenal is delivering this to Shabunda, the most isolated town in South Kivu. This title will not be taken over any time soon. The road is a truck killer.
Bon, nakia kutana diske inaisha, diske d'embrayage yetu inaisha, camion na platine tena. Ya mu 1978, yo année de fabrication ya camion. Depuis 1978, yo camion ko en marche déjà.
This is the 10th breakdown they've dealt with since setting off. They're only a few miles from Shabunda, so the mechanics want to return on foot. Juvenal tries to convince them to stay.
Njoo na mimi kwanza kwenye idea yangu. Mbo, niko saa ina idea kusema tunasema diske na katala. Si vile? Après diske kukatala. Mbo, kama tuseme tunalomba diski ishuke Shabunda.
It's going to take lots of morale. All they have is a few adjustable spanners and their own muscles to move parts weighing more than 100 kilograms. Ten hours later, the shrewd mechanics have won their bet. But their only prize is satisfaction. They have a bleak night ahead of them. The following morning, Juvenal and his team finally arrive in Shabunda. Only 3 trucks like his dare to supply the city. The drivers take it in turn as much as possible, but every time, it's a nightmare.
Safari iko ngufu sana, inachokesha juu depuis tutoke Mungembe Shabunda lo tuneneza ni 1 semaine. Safari iko ngufu sana. 69 km mtu ezi effectuer pendant 1 semaine. Inachokesha mais ni courage tu. Kuko saa inakuwa ngufu wakati mvule inanyesha sana, safari inakuwa ngufu sana. Tanto tunatengeneza ma 2 semaines, 3 semaines mu safari. Sasa tunatoka Mungembe hatukuwa na precision siku tutafika.
The city is running dry and is almost completely out of petrol, given that it's been almost 3 weeks since it was last supplied with it. £4 per litre, a small fortune. Shabunda is so difficult to reach that prices are skyrocketing. The cost of living is more expensive here than in any European city. Whilst petrol arrives in trucks, food, on the other hand, arrives by plane. But the small twin-engine planes can only transport 2 tons of merchandise, which once again raises prices. The 80,000 residents must pay a heavy price for their isolation. 4 wooden planks are enough to start up a luxury grocer's shop. In his shop, David sells everything 3 to 4 times more expensive than in the rest of the country.
Hii tunatosha goma. Nailipia avion. Nauza hii goma $20. Mimi nailipia avion $30. Affaire ya ma 50. Donc na profiter muisa kimoya 0.4. Hii ndo mai. Hii goma tunauza yo mu $6 carton. Tunailipia avion inapeze 19 kilo. Na hii 19 kilo tunailipia presque ma $21. Hapa mimi nojisha 5500. Donc mchupa mani kwa profiter presque 0.35 par bouteille. Juu ni bitu ya kilo. Il faut na mimi nipate faida kidogo.
Et vous arrivez quand même à avoir des clients qui achètent ces produits qui sont très chers?
Bon, ba client banaonekana tibine. Maana ni kujikaza tu kuadapter mjini. Mais ba client kabisa tout à fait abiko juu bei iko yulu par rapport na fond ya batu. Bitu kikia kugara iko na facilité ya kuregeza bei itoke. Mais kwa vio ifu kangale mube upate kidogo. Batu na abo binajibloke.
Shabunda is beginning to feel cursed. The road to paradise, even if it's the fastest, is not easy. Every time they approach the city, Malou and his co-pilot feel rather uneasy.
C'est une région très dangereuse, une région montagneuse et il y a déjà eu beaucoup d'accidents dans cette région. Mais si on ne vole pas dans ces zones reculées et si personne n'y va, ces gens-là ne mangeront pas. Mais il faut quand même qu'il y ait de la prudence avant tout.
Especially given that the landing strip is located right in the middle of the city. The locals regularly cross it to go from one neighbourhood to another. But this is not without its risks. A few days before we began filming, a little girl was hit by a plane during takeoff.
Fallait na siffler pour arrêter en mouvement ya bateau. Parce que piste wana izana katikati ya mboka. Fallait na siffler pour na bloquer ngo banzelo nyos.
Walking along the sides of the runway is just as dangerous. There are landings that have skidded off the runway like in 2017. The reality is that the control tower is not properly equipped to guide the pilots. No radar, just a CB radio to communicate with.
Papa kilo Shabunda.
At least when it's working.
Golf Papa kilo Shabunda.
"30 flights a week are just about enough to feed the city. The 2,000 litres of petrol that Juvenal brought over has swiftly been sold. The next day, another truck takes to the road, but this time it is Junior who's in charge of the journey. Juvenal warns him about the dangers of this route. The old German military truck still bears the scars of Junior's last journey, and that's not all. On the way here, he ran out of petrol, so this time he takes the lot.
Hii ni karibira ya reserve, juu njia ni mrefu, tunatia karibira ya reserve ya kutusaidia mnjia. Juu inaweza isha kuna nafasi ya kuzia.
The poorest travellers use these trucks to leave the city. This is the case for Maria and her family. They could not afford the £316 flight.
Naenda Kindu, natoka hapa Shabunda, naenda Kindu kuikala, njo mama yangu huyu. Njo mwanaume anichezea mafikiri, na njo kamana tuliachana. Mimi sikupata mwaenjo kamana naenda mugari na mama. Juu sina mwae ya kunifikiza ya vio. Ndio na profite sasa gari sasa. Maisha tu ya Kindu tu. Ndio mimi niko napenda.
They paid £10 each for a corner of the wagon. There was space to sit in the cabin, but even £20 was beyond their budget. Reaching the town of Mugembe is quite a journey. It can take anywhere between 3 days and 3 weeks to cover the 43-mile route. Junior is not even out of the city and has already hit a hurdle.
Caminhão meio mbele, tractor meio mbele yetu. Kuchunga comment est-ce qu'on va faire, on va dégager peut-être mais comme si si amutambuka pembeni kama kuna ulongo ya tingi ya kulekea. Tunafika tu kwa deviation kingaliki ya mzuri na devie au dépassé. Parce que maman ma 8x8. Il faut le camion là qui est dur. Ma 8x8 ndio kunapita mwa barabara. Kuna gari nyingine kwa leta mizigo na iko na tembea mzuri paka maman.
Là, il s'est passé quoi avec le pare-brise?
C'est le jour là dans des produits là. Il y avait une vache là qui était vieux. C'est ça le produit là.
Ça arrive souvent? C'est dangereux?
Oui, ça arrive souvent. La première fois, ça m'a fait ceci. Avec de l'eau.
In the back of the truck, it's even riskier.
Vous allez regarder une place où vous allez vous installer bien parce qu'il y a des arbres, des sticks qui peuvent vous gêner dans la route ici. Parce que si les sticks vous frappent dans l'œil ou bien dans la bouche, il y aura de l'accident. Donc ici c'est bien parce qu'il y aura moyen de se couvrir, de s'incliner ainsi et on passe. Ah, attention avec des sticks maintenant. C'est trop dangereux.
Junior and his truck stop in every village. They are the jungle delivery men. The villagers are sending it to Mugembe to be fixed. The engine weighs more than 200 kilos.
C'est difficile parce que nous chargeons avec la force humaine. Nous ne sommes pas une machine.
Duer rushes to split up Junior and a mechanic who are having a drunken fight over some shifty money matters. The mechanic has been handed over to the police.
Mie mena lomba nani makuta yangu alikopeshaka chauffeur 20 000 francs.
Très bien.
Il est ivre. Il est ivre. Il avait donné son argent avec notre chauffeur. Maintenant, il était en train de demander son argent qu'on lui fasse l'argent là. Les chauffeurs aussi, ils n'avaient pas cet argent.
The crew have just lost one of their men. The police take him to sober up at the station. And to make matters worse, in a few miles, having one less pair of hands will begin to take its toll on the team. Maria's mum, however, seems to be enjoying the worsening situation. According to Douer, laughter will ward off bad luck.
On peut rire aussi, on peut sourire aussi, mais nous sommes dans la souffrance. Nous souffrons beaucoup.
And he doesn't use this word lightly. Over the next few miles, things take a turn for the worse. The 28-ton-old German truck becomes more and more out of control. Junior has ended up in a ditch just 3 miles from where they set off.
Iko nguvu kutoka hapa, inakwamba barabara iko mubaya sana. Sasa shiti pia tunashuka, ndio utelezi katulewa pembeni. Sasa kurudia iko nguvu mpaka tutumikie sana, tumikie na mabeshe ya vile.
It is 11 p.m. They've been digging for 6 hours now. For Maria and her mother, these 6 hours have been spent waiting in the back of the wagon. She's had enough.
Baridi, mtoto anasikia baridi. Ndio maana tuacha gari. Ya kutoka gari gisi ya gari kutoka pale.
They will walk for 2 more hours in complete darkness. The mud is taking its toll on others too. Francois and his brother have been pushing their bicycle for 3 days. They are returning to Shabunda. They went to buy some much cheaper food at the other end of the route, an 87-mile round trek that allows them to feed their family.
Je transporte du riz, d'huile et des maniocs sèches, y compris aussi une coque. Une coque.
Il est vivant?
Oui, ça vit, ça vit.
Oui. Il y a combien de kilos sur le vélo là?
Le vélo, c'est 250 kilos. Le Congo, ce n'est pas un pays à vivre. C'est mieux de quitter ce pays. Ça, c'est un pays à souffrir. Même les enfants souffrent. Puisque nous manquons les leaders de bonne volonté. Oh, mon vieux Guillaume.
C'est passé quoi là, François?
Non, notre huile est tombée sur le soleil et je crains dès que j'arrive chez la maman, elle va me frapper. Vous croyez que j'ai fait la vente d'huile en cours de route? C'est pourquoi j'ai ramassé ça. Et ça, nous avons mangé ça. Nous avons consommé celui.
Ça sert à éclairer ça?
Oui, ça doit nous aider un peu ici pour ramasser l'huile. Et moi, je travaille à l'État congolais, je travaille à l'Institut supérieur de développement rural. Mais voyez, avec un salaire vraiment très dérisoire, nous touchons 20 000 francs par mois.
Francois and his brother bump into Junior and his mired truck at around 1 a.m. The mechanics are still hard at work. They commend the two brothers for their determination. They're faring better with their bike than with an 8-wheel drive truck. Junior is hoping that tomorrow his truck will muster the strength to not only escape the mire, but also finish the remaining 40-mile journey, but it's a long shot. An isolated region with a sky-high cost of living. You may wonder why some 80,000 people continue to live in Shabunda. Well, because everyone has a disease that drives them crazy. Gold fever. The Ulindi River that flows below the region is sitting atop a huge treasure trove. In Shabunda, precious metal trading houses have sprung up like mushrooms.
Oui. Hapa hii ni 2 gram, 2 gram tukitia hapo nani hii vande ya nani ya mishale, tukishaipata tunatuma Bukavu. Bukavu tunabebea nani ba patron yetu nao wanaenda uzishia mapei étranger kwengine kwenye wanauzishia. Ai kwake na bei fix, kuna kwaga fixing yenyewe tunafataka kwa internet ndio inatupatiaga kisi ya kuuzisha. Sasa hii tezi panda na saa nyingine na shuka.
Since the discovery of the precious metal in 2014, thousands have come to seek their fortune on the Ulindi River.
Sangisaka kotona mafuta neto sangisi nde tozobamba nani bwato mobimba wana de kotoana tango epoli nde ekomi lokola col. Ça marche sans problème, sans embâche.
Dozens of old small boats take the miners out to the mining sites, almost like a floating coffin, but for the living. Gautier is the only one wearing a life jacket, and for good reason. 2 weeks ago, his boat sank, and he's one of the few survivors.
Sur 17 personnes, travaillent dans ma collègue à service. 4 personnes bakufaki na mai nga mpe nazaki na kati nasi sauvaki nzambe asungaki bon ngai nazaki kote ya nsima kote chauffeur azalaki ndenga na kangaki yango makasi ya parti ya kokanga yango esauvaki ngai esai neti sauvetage nazomata likolo ya bidon ya tourbillon wana ememi ngai twi ndenge yaki ebwaki ngai libanda ebanda osanga mpasi na motema d'ailleurs bacadavre wana ntango eyaki na piqué crise deux fois mpenza nakendeki mpe na hôpital makeka mpo nayeba ndenge ya koarrange mwa babiloko moko etikalaki kotonde na mati susu me.
Between the shipwrecks and the armed groups that racketeer the gold miners, the Ulundi River is beginning to look more like the Wild West. With more than 200 illegal mines scattered across the banks and on the river, it's hardly surprising that our cameras are not welcome here. Kojak works on a dredger. He's a diving miner.
Alati teni azokota na mai akende koyela biso grave na maboko te teni oyo azolata plongeur Kojak.
En tout cas, ceux qui au sali musala so azana souffle to za bon plongeur te. Na musala il faut la apte, il faut la souple, il faut la makasi pour que notre na souffle belende aux vrai plongeur apte. Amnyoso. Dès na côté na oyo ba féliciter que na féliciter. Oui. Ah. Kasio kuna.
And he'll need it. On average, the river claims the life of one diver every month. 15 meters underwater, Kojak sucks up the sand with this large pipe that is connected to a pump. The gold is recovered with this filter.
C'est lui. Oh.
C'est l'or. 5 étoiles, 10 étoiles.
10 étoiles. C'est comme ça. C'est 10 étoiles.
Kojak resurfaces after 2 hours of diving. The depths of the river yield somewhere between 500 and 700 kilograms of gold a year, but the Congolese benefit very little from this abundance of gold. Kojak tells us that Congolese miners are taxed by gangs and that Chinese companies excavate the riverbed with much more efficient dredgers.
Mais babimisa iba elema nyonso ezala ipenda bando sela ngo musala babimisa ki yango wana etikala onzire epaf pamba ndango zomona yango wana eza motopompe bando benda yango mai pour que note musala ibanda.
When the gold runs dry, they get set up a little further along.
En tout cas, esalaka bien te eza pona nga moko te mais eza pona intérêt public nyonso ba congolais. Po bazoya tozoyeba intérêt na bango te baye basolo na gouvernement basali makaba accord na bango tomonika bango baye bazofuta pe batute bango moko nde basala musala baye basi or bakie nango ba richesse na bango kuna biso koto biso bakolo richesse toza pauvre
The city of Shabunda does not reap a single benefit from all this gold. The majority of miners work illegally, and the officials in charge of monitoring them are usually corrupt. On top of this, the city has no running water or electricity. The river is their only source of clean water, but not for much longer. Gold panners release almost 1 ton of mercury into the river each year. It's a poison that slowly kills. But, blinded by the gold rush, no one wants to believe this, including Kojak.
So na bangi yango na osasuni yango nde na sailaka yango nde na melaka organisme meseni organisme meseni nango
so melima yo ozwi osangisi na oyo yaka na bido awa déranger na libo c'est que o mayo oyo yaki awa o ba eye na kati ya bidon.
And the poison is not going anywhere anytime soon. According to the NGO Global Witness, an estimated £23 billion worth of gold lies under the soil in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Enough to make bandits and corrupt elites rich. As for the rest, all they can do is dream and struggle a great deal. Despite their efforts, Junior's truck refuses to get out of the quagmire. In the space of a day, they've travelled just 3 miles, and there are still another 40 to go until they reach their destination. After slaving away for 10 hours, they are finally free. But for how long? In the early hours of the morning, Maria and her mum get back in the truck with little hope of arriving during the day. Junior doesn't average any more than 1 mile per hour, and the track is just one pitfall after another. Mechanics like Bianfe are at the end of their tether.
Najichunga sana kwa kazi. Ni kazi ya riski, ifo kujichunga sana. Najichunga nisilumie, nisivunjike. Ni nguvu tu kujitolea muhanga. Barabara kabisa tukumbuke sana na to ya dolari ishuke. Monta de dolari. Ishuke. Faut faut dollar jusqu'à 90 francs. Le travail c'est beaucoup plus que de l'argent. Je gagne rien. Kwa fa kazi yenye inaishia franga inaishia kazi kwa kupitia salaire. Atengenezee barabara punguzie dolari ishuke bei. Moi je suis esclave pour ma famille, je suis esclave. Sans moi ma famille peut pas manger. Il faut moi je souffrir pour que ma famille mange.
And there are many others on the road who must go through blood, sweat and tears so they don't starve to death.
Là, il y a les motards là, c'est les trous.
Ils sont bloqués?
Oui.
Il y a aussi des vélos.
They are slaves to the road who transport the impossible, bringing food to Shabunda for the shopkeepers that cannot afford the plane.
Parce qu'il n'y a pas un autre boulot. Nous travaillons seulement, nous sommes des motards et pour trouver encore un autre travail, c'est très difficile.
Ouais, nous sommes en train de souffrir. Hein? Voyez la route. Hein? Voyez les gars, voyez les vélos. Je suis en colère. Il faut dire à monsieur le président que pourquoi vous laissez la route de Shabunda? Ça peut changer.
Sie tunashangala Kongo nzima inatakata, lakini huku kwetu tu ndio kunachafuka hivi. Hatujui juu ya nini. Huku kwetu ku South Kivu tunafanya kilometre 13, tunafanya mwata siku 4 siku 5. Hata juma nzima tunatoka hapa tunatembea 2 kilometre tunalala. Hatujui tufanye nini. Tunaganya hata 50,000 yetu, 100,000 yetu ni vile. Lakini njia ikitengemana. Ishie tu hatuna gisi ya kufanya. Nilikuwa tuko na kufanya kama tunafanya. Lakini hivi gouvernement ishaka kutuacha. Sijui jua nini.
Ngoya kule.
Kuya basi mkule.
Kuma kinga mingi sana tublokia hapa ilifo tunachunga wanapanda. Paske gari yangu samwa hivi yana frena yo. Fika hapa kwa kutajisa wachunga. Kwa bapande msami niteremka sasa.
The team have now travelled 9 miles more or less without a hitch, and it's just as well, given that this part of the jungle is patrolled by armed groups. Many hijackings take place here, so Junior does not want to get stuck. Not that he has any say on the matter.
Les autres clients ont été pillés par les milices là, par 2 reprises.
Ils ont volé quoi?
Mon matelas, ma panneau, batterie, sécurité toujours. Pour un pâte à ville, oui c'est bien. Parce que le pas aurait un matelas souvent. Parce que si on va tourner la Chine dans mon port, il y avait un matelas, il faut pas un matelas. Il y avait un jour là, on avait tiré sur le camion, on a tiré sur le camion, voilà. C'est dangereux.
It is 30 degrees and the water supply has run out. A man has gone looking for some. Parched, Maria and her mother go to meet him.
Vers de Palme, pour motiver l'équipage, ils sont en train de travailler.
Antanja sanibam. Uko mwigizo mkinywa.
Souffrance,
A little further on, road workers are trying to put an end to the road's curse. They're not paid by the state, but by several villages that have pooled their resources. Except they haven't got any tools.
On travaille avec la bêche comme ça. Machette, pioche. Est-ce que ça c'est réel?
Et c'est pas suffisant pour refaire la route?
Ça ne suffit plus aussi. Une journée, on vous donne $3 de 6 h jusqu'à 18 h. On ne peut pas refuser ça. Si on vous donne, on prend ça. C'est comme ça.
Et pourquoi le gouvernement il fait rien pour refaire la route?
Ils sont pauvres.
Non, ce n'est pas pauvre, mais ils oublient seulement ici. Ils oublient cet territoire. 150 km, ils connaissent comme 1500 km au travail. Depuis ma naissance, je ne peux pas voir même une bonne route. À la souffrance de notre pays, nous travaillons à la difficulté. Manquer la route avec la suffocation. Les jeunes manquent avec la périto, à la lubrication.
On Junior's end, him and his mechanics are picking up the pace. Tomorrow morning they have a meeting with a driver in Matili to pick up more cargo. Except the man is still far away. Very far away. He's coming via a different route, but since setting off, the truck driver is having troubles of his own. In every village he goes through, he comes across a toll, or rather a hole that's been expertly maintained by the locals.
C'est quoi le problème? Problème est barabara nakufa, tunataka kupita ku deviation. Tupite huko ku deviation tuangalie tutaweza kupita. Na kunakauka hatutachimba barabara, juu inakauka. Tuko napenda tupatie passage. Ile 50,000 hatutakuwa nayo. Tupatie 20,000 francs.
Bon, moi mon père là que 20,000 c'est pour le chef.
Yeye yako kwanza ni ya deviation. Sana ndio nikwazaka sana. Na tunatoa na rapport ya barulage.
A passenger has come up with a smart idea. He fears that the detour is just another trap that's been designed to ask for more money.
Problema iko simple, kwa sikia wewe mimi kwa raisonner. Kama kule deviation kwa matopo tunaweza kwama. Hapa tukapanga hii tu yenyewe kwa hapa. Na tunaanja kata hii bulongo tunayaza yote. C'est simple na tuapita.
Fanya hivi. Sisi tunataka kamata miti tusaidiane tukari tutie miti. Mtu asikuye tena.
For 20,000 Congolese francs, or £9, the villagers agree to help them.
Okay. Aya, tozu beba anje beba imo. Kata lingine. Kutona kata. Sasa kule kapa. Huko nani? Ende sasa kule sisi bote kubafupi. Mwenyangula kule mwisho. Siku tuafaka tu hivi kila siku tunateswa.
Wewe kwanza ushatumika, fanya mikono yako.
Shinda tumika.
Sema huyu ndo anajua baki bebasha tumika.
Towards the end of the day, John sets off again.
Vous avez eu peur enfin?
Oui, j'ai eu peur parce que je suis un humain. Oui.
It will take him 2 days to meet with Junior. In the jungle, never mind being on time, reaching your destination is a feat in itself. As for Junior, he will reach Mugembe after a long 9-day trek, punctuated by countless pitfalls.
Asira iko mingi, asira tunapiga juu visara ndio kolere iko mesha. Asira ni mingi. Asira iko mingi, muchoko visirani ya kazi, nyuma tunaipizibula vile yende juu ya asira. Anachoka na kazi. Kaone shalele ile kima kazi.
Their ordeal is endless. The drive back to Shabunda will take just as long as the way there, 9 days. Despite its magnificent wealth of minerals, the region is not about to escape from its isolation anytime soon. The blame mainly lies with the armed groups and corruption that plagues the country. For as long as they remain active, the youth of South Kivu will see modernity as an impossible dream.